lot of people, there's a moment when they start thinking about going vegan, and then later there's a moment when they actually make the decision to go vegan. What happened, or what triggered, or what made you start even thinking about going vegan? And tell us a little bit about the experience and what the emotions were that you were going through.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I always loved animals, right? Even insects. Like, I was always the kind person to them. If somebody in the classroom would want to squash a bug, I'd be like, I can pick it up and take it outside because I'm not scared of it. So let's do that. I would be like, no, no, no. So I've always had empathy for beings in different bodies, you know, feel pain just like we do. For some reason, I didn't get the vegan message the first 2 times that I was outreached to. Actually, I was at Warped Tour in 2014 or something like that, and there was a PETA stand there, and they were handing out flyers, and I said like something about compassion for animals, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. I didn't know what PETA was, and so I walked up to it, I grabbed the pamphlet, I read something about leather, and I was like, yeah, compassion for animals, animal liberation, but I didn't know what it meant. They didn't talk to me, I didn't read the whole pamphlet, I was busy. And so it's like it was trying to reach out to me, but I just didn't pay enough attention. And then the second time, this one makes me feel guilty, but I'm starting to understand it better, and it can help me understand what stops other people from empathizing with the animals that they might have part in harming. What happened with that experience was I was at Towson University in 2018, and my friend was talking about how she was exploring the thought of going vegetarian. And so we went to this like speech thing where they showed some footage, and for some reason I had blocked the footage out of my head, and I kind of just laughed at the idea. And I think it's because I didn't know what it would look like to be vegan, and for some reason I thought that it wasn't going to be appealing, or else I would have heard of it before. I had a lot of the usual refute to the idea of being kind to animals when it comes to food. And I've been trying to figure out where that came from within me, since I now have connected with their pain and didn't want to cause it anymore. So I wasn't shown what veganism would be like before I seen their suffering, and I didn't realize that I was the reason it was happening. I was like, this is just how the world works. And we have to compartmentalize that, because like when we watch National Geographic and things like that, we're so used to knowing what we're about to see and distancing ourselves from that so we don't have to hurt with the animal. And so I think that when we know that we're about to watch something like that, but we don't know why it's important, and we don't know why, we're not interested in changing before we see the footage, sometimes we can look at it as if it's like National Geographic, even though it's nothing like that. And we have a lot more control over it than something like that. So, yeah, and then the third time it was introduced to me, it was completely different. I was scrolling on YouTube, and I came across a speech by Earthling Ed. It has millions of views. He's brilliant, and we're going to be meeting him today at AVA. But he started off by saying, I haven't always been vegan, and that kind of connected with me. I didn't feel like an out-group, like subconsciously, so I think that made me connect with it more. And then he talked about how he eats tacos and pasta, and he eats plant-based fish and burgers and plant-based, anything that he could possibly want. It tastes very similar, or a lot of times even better, made vegan. And that made me intrigued, because I wasn't thinking about everything I had to give up when somebody was asking me to look at the animals. So I was more open-minded to viewing the experience that they had. So I went out and I searched for the documentary Dominion so that I could see it and make the decision for myself, now that it's more appealing to me, because I guess we're selfish beings. But but yeah, and as I was watching that documentary, and I saw them forcefully impregnate the cows in what the industry themselves, in the dairy industry, call a rape rack. They forcefully impregnate them over and over again and steal their babies away from them. so that way we can take their milk that was meant for them. They're killed on the first day if they're a boy, and it's just a never-ending cycle of suffering. They're in horrible conditions, and at the end of the day, like, I realized that it's just a line of beings having their throats slit, and they know that they're next, and they are so terrified, and they kind of know it's coming their whole life, and they know that they've been robbed of anything good. You can tell when you look at the fear in their eyes. And when I saw this particular pig's eyes, I remember feeling like I remember what that feels like. I know that they don't have the language that we do in order to describe it, but I know that they felt as if somebody had taken something from them and they don't understand why, and that they know that it's wrong. And they're scared, they're terrified, and that they just wish they weren't even born because they don't understand what this place is, what this experience that they're having is. And it's really, really sad, because the reason that we have our senses is to enjoy life. The reason that we have pain is to keep us from experiencing it, to run away from it, to keep us safe so that we can experience beauty, and to take some being and disrespect all of them in a line over and over again. I couldn't be a part of that anymore, especially with my history of understanding trauma and feeling trauma myself, and feeling like something's been taken away from me when somebody, sexually harassed me over and over again by different strangers throughout my life. And it felt like the world was so cruel, and it made me not want to be in it. And I saw that in them. And I realized that I was a hypocrite if I continued to do this to thousands of beings, because it's like 200 of them every year for people who eat meat on average. That's the stat that I found, at least. And I just think about every single one of them and how I'm responsible for that, especially now that I have the knowledge. So that was the switch, and me and my ex were watching Dominion on the sailboat. I showed it to him, and we both were like crying, and I was explaining to him how, oh my God, I've spent my life victimizing myself or being victimized, yet the reason that far more suffering has happened to far more beings. And it made me feel empowered watching somebody reach out to me and allow me to make life better for others, or at least not harm them, and maybe spread the message wider so that other people can know what they're doing and realize what they're doing, and that they don't have to cause so much harm. So it was really inspirational at the same time. I felt like the world was going to change for some reason, and then I started talking about it to people, and I got discouraged, but I'm getting into activism now because it's important to me, and I've learned how to talk about it better so that people can connect with them. So yeah, we both went vegan right overnight. The next day, my mom tried to serve us. This is the challenges. My mom, she tried to serve us a chicken next day, and we both didn't want to talk about it because we didn't even know what veganism was fully yet, like the definition of it. We were still exploring it. We just knew that we didn't want any animal products, and we got rid of them all and got new food all that day. And we both took a bite of the chicken because we didn't want to break the norm, the culture. We didn't know what they would say, or how to talk about it yet. And so she said something like, oh, you don't like the thigh, the chicken thigh? And we're like, we watched something recently. You want to see it? Like, we didn't know how to talk about it at all. And she couldn't watch it. She started crying, and I could see it in her because she's went through trauma as a little girl too, my mom. And because that's all they are in those slaughterhouses, they're kids being tortured and tormented and hurt until they're dead every day. And she empathized with that. She felt it. She felt like them, and she wanted to turn it off. She didn't want to watch it anymore, but she kept eating meat. So I don't know. She wants to, but I don't know. For me, after I connected with them and seen what I didn't want to see, what I was trying to not see, even though it was right in front of my face, not realize what I've done because I thought I was an amazing person, But I think we all have room for improvement, and anyone would be doing anything that anyone else is in their position. So we all have room for growth and to learn from each other. So, yeah.
since after the incident with the chicken, after you became vegan, and that, how long ago was that?
4.5 years ago,
4.5 years
November of 2019, yeah.
Okay. So now, since that time, how is life different?
I feel empowered. I feel so empowered because, as I said, during that time, I was really going through a lot of PTSD. And so I would look up stuff. I would be like, how do you deal with sexual trauma? You know what I mean? How do I deal with this? Like, somebody help me. So many people have gone through this. How can I stop thinking about it? How can I heal my wounds? And so I saw this video of these young children who were saved from like being sold by their own parents in some other country. And there was like about 11 or 12 of them, and they were put in this padded room, and they would just take out all their anger and stuff like that. And I felt like I couldn't do anything for them. And so I felt disempowered in the world. Like, I can never make it a better place. It just sucks for people like me who've been through things like that. And so now that I've connected with these animals, and I learned that not only can I stop harming them, but I can help other people stop harming them. So I can help so many beings, and that's why it feels empowering, because I spent my life disempowered, feeling like I couldn't do anything to help others, even though I know how much they're going through. That gives me hope and like a better life for myself, because now it's like, I don't know, for some reason, feeling like I can help others makes me feel like I'm helping myself somehow. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it, but it just gives me something to focus on that makes the world better, instead of just watching it get worse. Instead of cycling over my own trauma, focusing on helping others, it gives me a purpose. Yeah, because I was looking for that purpose, to help other people like me. But animals, they go through worse than me, and that's just as valid. So, yeah.
That's the gift. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Watch Dominion, the documentary, on YouTube right here, right now. I know you got the time. Thank you.